What's up, y'all? My name is Ian Edwards, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. We got a lot to talk about. I mean, some of it we've talked about before because Arsenal won again, business as usual. Man City won, business as usual, breathing down Arsenal's neck. Then Liverpool dismantled Spurs. They owed them that because of a game earlier this season. Villa lost, but I feel like they were robbed, so we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about coaches who are not fully being loved by their fans, even though their teams are in better positions than they were for a lot of their history or seasons before. Man United didn't play yet. And we're going to talk about the championship. There's some juicy shit going on in the championship. So thank you if you're listening on Omni Studio. Uh, uh, that big thing called Apple. What's it called, Lee? That
Spotify.
Spotify and Apple. And also want to introduce co-host, stand-up comic, Southampton fan, in the championship, hoping to come back up. But Lee Hudson, what's up, fam? How you doing?
I'm all good. I'm all good. Been reintegrating back into UK life over the last week. Been up and down the country doing shows. So yeah, I'm back used to regular business. And it's the business end of the football season as well. We had the last day of the season in the championship,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll cover later. So like the football league, like lower down is ending already, even though the Premier League's got a couple more weeks. Because it's going to head into playoff season. So it's all happening.
It's all happening. Ipswich, McKenna, yes, ex-Man United coach, who, listen, if I'm to be honest, I, because of the way Man United was playing on the Ollie and what happened after Ragnick, I didn't know or believe that he was a positive coach there, but apparently everybody at United was wrong. There's a lot of United platforms that probably wanted McKenna gone because when you're frustrated and you don't know what's wrong, you can only pick at the things that you see. And he went to Ipswich, got them promoted twice, and now he's in the Premier League. So hats off to you. I was wrong, fam. I was wrong. You're on your way to being a real coach. I don't want to jump the gun, but good luck to you next year in the Premier League. So we'll probably run through these top games fast, and we'll talk a lot about the championship, and then we'll talk about fantasy league. But we'll talk a lot. So Arsenal, let's just go with them first. They played Bournemouth. I think it was Bournemouth. Then it just jumped all over them. And again, Arsenal won. But again, I believe all their wins are based on the fact that there's no pressure on them because they believe they're going to win all their games. It's going to win all their games. And because Man City has a game in hand, they have the possibility of winning and making more points. So they already believe they're not going to win the league. So it's easy for them to win their last few games. So I don't believe in these wins. These are not pressure wins. You know what I mean? These are like, we might as well finish the season strong wins. You know what I mean? So unless Man City messes up somehow, maybe against Spurs or somebody or somewhere, which it doesn't look like now, they're freight training it. But we'll stick to Arsenal. The only thing I have to say about the Arsenal game is the Kai Havertz penalty.
Mm.
You know, this is my issue. You're in VAR. You know players dive. You know they stick a leg out. The commentators commentating the game are like, yes, he stick the leg out, but they give those. So when commentators say that, it's almost like, how do you make dishonesty okay? Commentators just be like, no, man, he stuck his foot out. They shouldn't give it. You know what I mean? But they're like, yeah, he stuck his leg out clearly. That's not how people run. That's not how professionals run. Anybody who runs like that normally is in a wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? You run with your knees up. You don't run and drag your feet. You'd have no front part of your boots if that's how you ran up the pitch and down. You wouldn't even be a professional. You know what I mean? So if you're in VAR and you see somebody purposely drag their feet, you know, all your grown ass man, you run. You've seen people run. You are actually a steward of a sport where running is one of the most important components of the thing. And you can't tell when somebody didn't run and purposely went for contact. Like they gotta start. VAR's gotta listen, man. If you had said, hey, go look at that, and nobody would have been like, only Arsenal fans would have been like, we were robbed. And that's how you know and some of them wouldn't have. And that's how you know you made the right call. So I feel like Arsenal would have won this game already, but I'm just tired of that type of dive working. What'd you have to say?
I was in a bar full of Arsenal fans watching that game live. And as soon as they started playing, because when it happened in real time, everyone was like, penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started showing the slow-mo replay on the TV screens. And even
Mm-hmm.
all the Arsenal fans were turning to each other and going, nah, that's not a penalty. They're gonna reverse this.
No.
And then when VAR gave it, everyone was like, oh, okay. I guess I guess they looked at that and went, that was fine. Like that was, yeah, everyone was really surprised that VAR didn't overturn that because like it was crystal clear from the video that the keeper, I mean, the keeper's stupid for throwing a leg out when he didn't get anywhere near the ball because then it gives Havertz an opportunity to do that. But still, it's still a dive. It's still he's made the contact with the keeper rather than the keeper make the contact with him. So yeah, by leaving that leg in, it kind of just he bought it, and the referee was. Well, I'm just amazed that between the referee and VAR they didn't overturn that. But here we are. Like you say, Arsenal would have won the game anyway. I think the amount of shots they had before that was crazy. They were just racking up shots. But Bournemouth showed a little bit later on that they still had some fight in them. So they had the goal disallowed. They had a couple other chances. So they weren't completely out of it, but it was a little bit nervous, like especially at 1-0. Like I could feel the tension with all the Arsenal fans around me when it was at 1-0. And then even when they got 2-0, that was when like the disallowed goal happened just after, which a little bit soft on the keeper, letting him get away with that one. For the disallowed Bournemouth goal, I thought Raya could have, been a bit stronger. It wasn't really a blatant foul, but
also one of an Arsenal player fouled a Bournemouth player in that same sequence the same way,
yeah,
grabbing
dragged
an
him
arm.
down.
So that's either a penalty or a goal. Because if the thing on the what they call a foul on the Bournemouth player, if that's a foul, then the other one's a foul. So then, and one was before the other. So you either don't call it no foul for neither of them and make it a goal, or that's a penalty. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's just bit of a let off from there, and then Arsenal just relentless. They kept on going. Great, like I thought Rice, he really made a difference late on as well. The little like the little flick to Trossard for the second goal was a bit of class improvisation, and then the finish for his own goal, not own goal but his goal, to make it 3-0 was just ruthless. So he came up big in the big moment for him, but I think Bournemouth feel a little bit hard done by in terms of some of the decisions, but overall Arsenal deserve the win, and I want this title race to stay interesting until the last day. Liverpool have let me down now. I wanted a 3-horse race. I'll settle for a 2-horse race as long as if City win it before the final day, it's just going to be sad. So I want some entertainment up there.
Right. I don't know. I mean, we're being entertained probably till the entertainment would at least last up until next weekend. That's second to last weekend. Who knows what happens after that? Right now, you know, some things could happen, but who knows? But Arsenal win. They handle their business because again, they don't have the pressure of having to win the league because they already believe they've lost it because they believe in Man City like we all do. Next big match was Man City versus or Haaland versus who is Haaland against?
Wolves.
And it's funny, like he played the team that has the name the way he played. He played like a wolf. You know what I mean? He was all over Wolves and scored a hat trick, man. No, a four trick or whatever you call it. What do you call it when you score 4 goals?
I don't know because like they call 2 a brace and then a hat trick. Yeah, I don't know, just a quad. I don't know.
A quad. Yeah. So he's back. He's had an injury plagued seasons. Some YouTubers and some pundits have kind of been slagging him off a little bit. Roy Keane did it too. I don't know if Roy Keane just did it because he fought his dad when his dad played and because he plays for Man City. But there's no way I feel like Haaland has fallen off. I know, especially I can't ignore the injuries that he's had this season. And it just hasn't been a straight season like last year. And yeah, he hasn't scored as much, but he's still the lead. If Haaland's falling off and he's a leading scorer in the Premier League, then what the fuck is everybody else doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this game felt like him back to what he does best, though. It was kind of one of them games where it's just like the City players knew they just had to put the ball in an area in the box and he was going to attack it, kind of thing. That second goal, he just got up for the header to knock it back across. He was confident finishing the penalty. So penalties. So it's just machine, back to being a machine. It's like you say, I think people don't really give him the benefit of the doubt on the injuries because injuries do affect a player, and it may take a few games to get back up to speed. So yeah, I mean, he did have those moments, but yeah, it's just City doing City things this weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. City doing City things. And they have 82 points. Arsenal have 83, but Man City have a game in hand. And Arsenal knows that it's over. No matter what, they know it's over. And I feel like Arsenal will do an extra thing to let us know it's over when they drop points to Man United when they come play us. That's what I think will do. And I want to talk about Man United, but I'll wait till after we talk about Liverpool, Aston Villa, and Tottenham. And then Liverpool, they play Spurs at Anfield, and this was a payback game. I remember being on the road earlier this season. I might have been in Toronto. I walked to some bar far because I couldn't access the channel, and Spurs beat Liverpool. Bad calls, sending offs. Like I think Liverpool ended that game with 9 men, and they had a goal disallowed that shouldn't have been disallowed, and all the Liverpool players was like, "Nah, this," and then it's high line versus high line, and Klopp's high line wins. Like they pretty much pin Spurs in until after the 4 goals. Like they're like, "You're trying to play like us. We play it better. We have better personnel." And then, Undagi's gone for Spurs for the rest of the season. And Undagi being gone is like Van der Ven being gone for Spurs. Like first of all, he attacks and comes back, and he's very responsible. And he just showed the difference. Him being gone shows the difference between him and Royale. What's his name? Edison Royale.
Emerson Royale, yeah.
Emerson Royale. Like there's a reason why when Ange gets there, he goes to get Undagi to play that position. And even last
Yeah.
week, I think Ben Davis played that position before. Ben Davis had to get injured before they said, all right, let's play Emerson Royale, you know. But Liverpool were back to almost vintage Liverpool, like extra energy. They're at home. They're on some revenge shit. And they battered Spurs until they had 20 minutes left in the game, and it was like, all right, this is over. So they were in the locker room playing the last 20 minutes, and Spurs ended up getting 2 goals. But what do you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool just carved them open, especially in that first half. Just yeah, creating them chances, and it's weird with Spurs because they've got players who are good, but sometimes just collectively they all just go off the boil at the same time. And even in this game, like Vicario was poor on Salah's header.
Mm-hmm.
That one felt soft. There was a let off just before that where they had one cleared off the line as well. It's
Just
just
on the
Spurs defending crosses was just poor as well.
on the Vicario one with the Salah,
Mm.
like Vicario cheated. He thought Salah was gonna head it
Yeah,
back across the
back,
goal.
yeah.
So he started going back across the goal, opens up this space, and Salah's like, "Oh, thank you for this space. Let me put it in there. I appreciate this near post space." And he got head faked. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, just poor conceding and a couple of goals off crosses as well. But then I mean not much they could do about Harvey Elliott's goal. That was class.
Mm-hmm.
Harvey Elliott's a player as well. I think next season, especially under new manager, he's someone who really needs to step up as well and prove that he needs to play like every week kind of thing. Because I think that there's so much talent there. I think he's a really promising player, but he needs to turn the promise into like consistency. Because like that goal was just that shows what he can do, but I don't think we see it enough from him. He's a player. I don't think he'll make the England squad for the Euros, but if he was doing this sort of thing all the time, he could have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I think that's a
He's the
big
Phil
challenge.
Foden of Liverpool.
Mm. Yeah, and Foden reached a point where he found his consistency and made it impossible for for Pep to not play him. And Harvey Elliott hasn't really done that for Klopp yet. He's been in and out the team. Admittedly, he's up against some good players
Yeah.
at Liverpool, but Foden's arguably been up against better players at City and still managed to force his way
But
into that team. So
Foden's older, right? A little bit older.
yeah, I think maybe not by much. Maybe maybe a couple of years. Um, but yeah, I'm curious now actually.
Yeah. And then also, just while you look, this player that was one of Liverpool's only star players yesterday was Bicetic. And I saw him on the bench, and then he got in the game. I think, and he had a long, big injury. So just to get him back, like Liverpool's is Onslaught taking the job for real? Is that settled?
I haven't seen like an official announcement,
Right.
but it's it's pretty close. I'm sure it's like everyone's seems to sort of acknowledge it now.
Whoever gets that midfield is gonna like it's just gonna live. They need a good coach. They get the coaching call right. That midfield. And another thing, 2 weeks ago I saw Jota come in after a long injury. He was out so long I forgot that he played for Liverpool. Then he came, he scored, and then he's gone again. Like if Liverpool had a healthy Jota all season, which never happens, they definitely would still be in this race. Spurs did have more possession though, which was weird because it didn't feel like it.
Yeah, because like I say, whenever Liverpool got the ball, they just carved them open. But yeah, just looking, Harvey Elliott is 2 going on almost 3 years younger.
Right. So I think
he's got time.
Yeah, I just think Foden started 3 years playing in the first team before him, and then but I feel like they have similar skill sets and show the same potential. They should stop using a possession stat or to add to a possession stats, how much a stat that shows you how much you kept the other team in their half stat. Because sometimes some teams will just be passing the ball around the back and they'll have a high possession stat, but they were just in their half, or they just pass the ball a lot, just trying to get it out. So they should have we couldn't get out of our own half stat.
There are some stats that support that. Like there's one a lot of people use called progressive passes. So it's passes that go forwards and break lines and things like that. You can see a bit more of that because sometimes just possession as a percentage can be misleading. A lot, like you say, depends on the other team's game plan. If they're just sitting in a mid block or a low block and letting the other team have the ball and the other team are just moving it around, that moving it around can move the block, but also sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's just possession for the sake of possession, just trying to bait the opposition, but very, very slowly. And can be effective if you're, a team like City who do it sometimes, or sometimes if you do it like Tottenham did against Liverpool, not effective. Right. But that's got to be. I mean, it's not fully mathematically confirmed that they can't get top four yet, but Villa need a point, I think, and their goal difference is better than Spurs as well. So, to all intents and purposes, it's Villa's to lose. They've been having their own little wobbles of form, but Spurs have been worse. So, I take a lot of pleasure in that.
Well, I was conflicted this podcast because I was like, how do I protect and compliment Spurs coach, but still shit on Spurs? You know what I mean? So there is a way. So I want to say, and you're a good coach. You're doing your thing. You have a higher points total or even than Spurs did last year. And last year, Spurs had Harry Kane. So you're in fifth with still a chance, which I don't think you're going to make the Champions League spot. But, I think you did a good job. And everybody's saying, but here's where we go. The ungrateful fans. So I can attack the Spurs fans for being ungrateful. And I can say, and you're doing a good job. And you ungrateful Spurs fans, the reason why you think that Ange is a one-way playing coach and manager is because he made you forget earlier on in the season that you had no Harry Kane. And then now you've been playing so good that when you start playing bad, you just expect, like, you lost Harry Kane, fam. Like, when you got this guy and when you got this new coach with no Harry Kane, you were like, we're going to suck this year. But because you're being good, you forgot you don't have Harry Kane. Like, Son, I think, has 19 goals and 9 assists, or 16 goals or 9 assists. He used to have that with an extra 20-something goals from Harry Kane. Son used to get that, and Harry Kane used to get 20-something with more assists on top of that. So that's what you're missing. This is not all on Ange. You know what I'm saying? So Ange fucked up when he started the season 10 games undefeated, and you guys forgot that you ever had a player named Harry Kane. So now you're just like, I can't believe our great squad ain't doing as good. Let Ange cook. Let him get some new players in next year. Let him not have to replace Undagi with Emerson Royal. There's a reason why Conte kind of cursed out this team in public. He said there's some quitters in here. You still have some of those quitters there. You know what I mean? Ange got rid of some of them. And so this is my way of defending a Spurs coach, which I shouldn't be doing. But I'm actually attacking the reason why I don't like Spurs. They're fans. Like, the fans are acting more Spursy than Spurs. by like bailing on their coach right now and saying get him out. You know what? I hope he leaves. You deserve it because whoever you're going to get next year is going to run into the same problems. You just ungrateful. You deserve anything you get. You got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just that like they might have been in a better position if if Madison had been fit the whole
Yeah.
season because there was a spell when he was out that really hurt them. But every team has injuries.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta you gotta ride through that and make the most of it because everyone else has been through that this season as well. But yeah, I mean, like you say, they lost one of the most influential players they've ever had at the club, and that will hurt you because they never really replaced him.
They
They
didn't.
signed like Brennan Johnson, who's a winger. Werner came in later in the season, who's a winger. Um, Richarlison, you can't rely on him to replace Kane's goals. Like Richarlison's streaky. He'll score for 3 games in a row, then he'll go missing for 5 games. And he's had his own issues as well. Sort of one with injuries and also mentally. He's been open about that, which fair enough. But yeah, he's not a Kane replacement. They need to go out this summer. I don't know if Levy will spend the money because Spurs are trying to get extra investment from people because they spent a lot of money on the stadium. And they got to comply with the FFP rules. So yeah, they'll. I'm sure they'll be in the market for a 9 because they need to. But they got the players to supply the bullets if they do get the right person. Madison's creative, Son's creative. I like Kulusevski as well. Johnson, yeah, he's looked good. They kind of need to figure out who their strongest centre mids are though, because they sort of chop and change between like Højbjerg and Bissouma and Sarr and
Suma
Bentancur
got injured and then he went away and
mm,
to the African Cup of Nations. So did Sarr. But before all of that, they were good. Like they lost Bissouma, Sarr, and Son to their respective continental cup competitions, and then those players came back injured or not fully fit. So then they lost momentum at that point. And it's like they'd be further up the table if Son was
yeah.
an Asian. Further up the table if Sarr was an African and Basuma was an African. You know what I mean? He like Conte couldn't even get Basuma to play last year. Conte couldn't get Richarlison to play last year. Like Ange didn't bring in Richarlison. He was there last year when you had a lower point total with Kane than you have now. So, at least at some point he got him to play and start scoring for him. So,
yeah.
And just leave. Just leave. They don't deserve you. Villa. Villa's like that. They're in 4th. They got 67 points, but they're like that. You ever been at the train station and you see the clock of the time the train's supposed to come in, and then you see the train coming in but then it stops way before it even gets in the station, and you're like, you were almost on time. Come in, and it just sits there, and you just keep waiting for it, and maybe it comes in, or they tell you something happened with the train and it won't come. They're not using that train no more, so now you got to wait hours. So Villa, I know Brighton Hove is not an easy team to play, but Brighton Hove has been doing that good, and you were at Brighton Hove, and the first half was a stalemate, and then towards the end of this first half, Brighton had 2 good chances, and Olsen, Villa's replacement goalkeeper, who had a bad midweek experience in the Conference League, kind of redeemed himself, And then in the second half, it was a completely different match, very back and forth between the two of them, both teams creating a lot of chances. And then Brighton got a penalty. I'm not sure that was a penalty.
Mm.
It was a 1-2. And then both players collide in the box, and they give it to the offensive players if he didn't have the ball. He's not entitled to a ball on a 1-2. So when two bodies collide and it's leg to leg, it's not like he had the ball and then he was tripped. It's like he was fighting for a ball. The defender has a right to get to that ball too. The guy crumples to the ground. His only advantage is let me throw myself to the ground if I don't win this ball and see if this ref, who looks like he's used to rugby scrimmages, thinks that's not a foul because he's, yeah. So I don't know. I don't think it was a penalty, but they got it anyway. Goalkeeper Olsen again stepped up, saved it, but Pedro Porro was pretty patient, watched where the rebound was going and headed it in the back of the net. And Villa was robbed. They should have at least got 1 point from that game, but they did not pull into the station today. Hopefully they pull into the station for at least a point in their next two games. Like you said mathematically in the thing, because Spurs have a game in hand. Villa got 2 games left. But because Spurs got Man City, what's the run like for these teams, for Villa and between Villa and Spurs?
Let's have a look. Just have a look now. But yeah, I do agree with you though that penalty was soft. Like they're just jostling for position, and yeah, the Brighton player's just throwing himself down. They even got lucky because it was a bad penalty as well. Good save, but yeah. Right, let's have a look.
I like what that goalkeeper did on that save. He stayed in the goal, like behind the line, and then when the guy ran up, because they always look for the keeper to make a decision. So then he stepped on the line to the left, and then Porro was like, just go right. And normally when the goalkeeper goes the wrong way, you don't have to like be accurate and put it in the pinpoint corner. So then Porro just like, all right, he's gone that way. And then he just came back the other way and saved it.
I mean, it's not that straightforward for Villa though. They got Liverpool next.
But even with that loss, go ahead.
Spurs have got a game in hand though, because Spurs play Burnley first at home. They're home to Burnley, which let's assume that's a Tottenham 3 points. And then they play Man City in the extra game because they got to make up an extra game still. And then on the final day, Spurs are away to Sheffield United, which again should be a Spurs win. And Villa are away to Palace, which isn't an easy game right now. Palace are one of the form teams under their new manager.
How many points ahead of Spurs are Villa?
They
7 points.
Yeah.
So of the 9 points that Spurs potentially can get, they for sure should be able to get 6. So they can't. This could be a wrap already because Man City, you feel.
Yeah, Man City can put it to bed.
Right. And when is the Man City game?
That's a midweek one. So the fixture against Burnley is at the weekend. That's on Saturday. And then it's the Tuesday. So not tomorrow, or not Tuesday, but the one after. Not this Tuesday, the one after, 14th.
Right.
Is Spurs Man City. So and City will obviously, it means a lot to them, this game. So it won't be like they're facing City with them having nothing to play for. They'll be on it.
Yeah, both of them need this. But so that would be a very interesting game. Too bad it's a midweek game. That should be a weekend watch. But it's a big midweek game. People are gonna have to like figure out new ways to call in sick or get out of work to, at least here. Over there it's gonna be in the evening, right?
Oh yeah, it's at 8 p.m. for us.
Right. Yeah, in America, the Premier League got people faking bronchitis. Then Newcastle moved up. They're 6. They got 56 points. So that's another coach people were calling for his head, but they've had the most injuries pretty much so far. So I don't know if you grade on an injury curve. And Chelsea, Pochettino, what do you think of what Chelsea did to who did they do that to this weekend?
West Ham.
West Ham. What do you think about that pantsing?
That was, I mean, that was cold.
Mm-hmm.
Chelsea have put a little run of form together because they dismantled Tottenham um, in the week as well. So yeah, they've come into a little bit of form late on, and um, Pochettino's making sure that he gets that second season, or at least the start of the second season.
Uh-huh.
Um, but they've had spells this season where they've looked good and it didn't quite happen for them. Like they were playing well, but they just weren't finishing their chances. And they were sloppy at the back, having little lapses and stuff. Whereas, that when they're on it, they do look a good team and they've got good players. Like they've got the parts, the components are there. But it just hasn't quite come together in the past. But now it's looking good. Like Cole Palmer's just, he's been pulling the strings in that midfield. Nicholas Jackson, some games he looks like he's just figuring out how his legs work, and then other games he's looking like a killer. And this week he's looked like a killer. He's got the goals, so they'll be hoping he can keep it consistent next season. Madueke has stepped up as well recently. Some of these players are now looking like the players that Chelsea spent all that money on. So it'd be interesting to see if they can take the momentum all the way till the end of the season and then into the start of next season, because they could be an issue next season for some teams. And I think it's a good thing for the league. The more teams that are competitive at that end of the table, is you might not agree as a United fan. You want to see some of these teams
I definitely don't
falling
agree.
off, but I mean, they've already jumped above you in the league now for probably the first time this season.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Um,
Yeah, I'm not sitting good. We didn't even lose and we lost this weekend. We
Well, you
didn't
got the game
play.
in hand, so
Yeah, yeah.
we'll see what you do with the game in hand.
But you just mentioned how tough Crystal Palace is because some other team got to go play them. I think it was Arsenal, and it's like if it's going to be tough for Arsenal, it's going to be tough for us
Oh,
tomorrow.
Villa got them on the last day.
Villa, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's tough for Villa. It's going to be tough for us.
Yeah, they're no pushovers. But yeah, I mean Chelsea, like I say, it's interesting to see it starting to come together. Pochettino is a good manager, so we'll see. They need to find that consistency though, because it's no good finishing strong this season and then they start the season next year with some of the same problems again. They need to make sure they hook it up, because I mean that amount of money that they've spent, like, should be top four in this league, because they've way outspent Villa, way outspent Tottenham. They should be, the amount of money they spent, they should be up there competing with those other big clubs, the Arsenal, City, Liverpool group, in terms of pure spend. But they spent a lot of it on potential rather than the finished article. So they need to hope that gamble on the future pays off, because it's an expensive gamble.
Yeah. I mean, who did they get beat 5-0 by? And then they haven't lost since. Who was that?
Oh, I can't remember who gave them the absolute pasting.
It was like a few weeks ago.
Have a look. Arsenal.
Yeah.
Arsenal trashed them.
Yeah, which is good for Arsenal. You know what I mean? But like you named all the players on Chelsea that I wanted to name: Madueke, Mudryk, Nate Jackson, like all stepping up. Cole Palmer, and now you can see, all right, who are going to be Pochettino starters going into next season. It took them almost a whole season to like get the experience to actually put away their chances and turn into something. I think Cole Palmer has 21 goals in the Premier League. You know what I mean? Like a Man City reject. So it's pretty bananas. And if you look at Nate's goal tally, no matter how much he's missed this season, still good numbers for somebody the first time. Like they got him because he scored 9 goals at the end of the season for, I think, Villarreal. Then he comes to Premier League, a tougher league, and he has more goals now, I think. You know? So he had two yesterday or 2 today, whatever day they played. And I mean, I would do wish he would smile more, I mean, he looks upset. Like unless he scores, is he like some people are not blessed with just outward likability. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just based on like there are killers with more. There's serial killers with more likability than Nate Jackson. He's a football player, professional, doing his thing. He's actually scored goals, but I think sometimes people don't realize the thing that bothers them about the person is just their. He does not look welcoming, you know, and he does, and it's not his fault. It's just his genetics, you know what I mean? But they should have smiling classes for this dude. Just to just to just be happy, bro. You're in London playing in the league, uh, but you guys they're doing good. They're on an upward trajectory, and another thing I love is that for all the Chelsea fans who hate the coach and do not want to admit that Chelsea is having a good run because they just hate Pochettino because he coached for Spurs. And he just dismantled Spurs midweek. His old team did the double on him. And he just beat another London team. You know, the shit that you want to do, you want to beat your London rivals and you just did them. You know what I mean? And this was a handsome amount of goals against West Ham. West Ham ain't, they, they're in the top half of the table. They took points off Arsenal, or was it Liverpool? They pretty much took the title out of Liverpool's hand a few weeks ago. So give Poch his props. I know you don't want to because y'all just hate him. And even though you know how much money they spent, but they spent it on youth, you know that they have to kind of like players have to get used to this league. You have a brand new team of kids that never even played in the Premier League before, playing in the toughest league in the world with one old guy named Thiago Silva. It's Thiago Silva and his son's kids, his son's friends, playing in the Premier League, and they're above Manchester United, just seventh. And you scored a ton of goals. You scored 70 goals, created way more chances. Next season, yeah, and you had mad injuries. You bought players and didn't even get to use them. They got injured before they even got a chance to play most of the season. So there was an Nkunku sighting. When was the last time you seen Nkunku? You know what I mean?
Seen him about as many times as I've seen Bigfoot.
Yes. Seen Bigfoot more than Nkunku. Yeah. Yeah. And like I don't even believe Nkunku's real. Yeah. That's how much he's been missing. Man United. We didn't play, but I saw the Gary Neville interview, and I forgot to say this last week. I want to stick with Ten Hag. The only thing I don't like about Ten Hag is his post-game interviews. You got to give better post-game interviews. I know it's tough when you lose, but bruh, say the right thing. Just say the right thing and then get off. You know what I mean? Just end it. Just be like, say how the game went, not how you wish people saw it went, because it does sound crazy. But he did tweak the system, so he did say that to Gary Neville, and Gary suggested, why don't you go back to like a low block and be more defensive? And he's like, he doesn't want to lose the confidence of the players in this new system. And next year, he's confident with the injuries being over that they could just continue to play. And I know the youth system is playing this system because they talked about that. But here's what I'm saying. You want to win a cup. You're in the final against Man City. You know, when you play Man City at Wembley, you are not going to play this style against Man City, or they'll rip you apart. You know you're going to play low block counter attack football. So why don't you just practice that in your next 3 games? You know what I'm saying? Like, to win a cup. So yeah, you don't want to You want to play the system that you're eventually going to end up playing next season. But to win a cup and to give your team the best chance to win the cup, you have 3 games to practice low block football, which will help you win those games, which is our strongest way to play. And prepare your team to beat Man City. Give the team the best chance to beat Man City at Wembley for the FA Cup final. So that's all I'm saying. I hear what you're saying, but what I'm saying is go back to untweak this shit. Go back to the way we played last season, because last season we did beat Man City playing that way. And that's the ultimate goal right now. That's how you get a European spot. That's how you keep your job. And it's the only way to make your fans happy. So I hear what you said, but just think about that. And another coach that everybody wants to fire, especially now that they have ammo from the Chelsea game, is David Moyes. What did you think about Dave Moyes?
It's a hard one because like you can't argue with what he achieved there last season. You know, got West Ham a trophy in Europe, decent finish in the league this year. Regardless of how they're finishing the season, you know, it's still a high position. You know, top half for West Ham is good, but especially these last couple of games, they've really gone off. You know, they could have finished higher up than they did, or than they will, and they've started leaking goals and just not looking that interested. So, I mean, I respect what Moyes has done there. And I feel like, especially earlier on in the season when the fans were complaining, it was way too hasty. But I kind of feel like I don't know if he's given up now or if it's just like he knows because they've been talking to other managers like publicly. Whether he's just like, you know, fuck this.
He found other managers' number in the director of football's phone, in the technical director's phone.
And it would be interesting one to watch play out because, you know, it's like a be careful what you wish for situation. You know, they could get Ruben Amorim from Sporting, which would be a massive get for them, and that could propel them up to greater heights. Or, you know, they could get him and his style of football takes too long to bed in. They end up finishing in the bottom half of the table and having problems. You know, it depends how.
Good, though. They're gonna look so good. Best style of football at the bottom of the table.
So yeah, it's a big gamble, but I can sort of understand why they want to maybe move on, because I think with Moyes, yeah, it's functional. It does a job. You know, football fans always like to dream of more, unless you're like a Man City fan or something. Football fans always want to dream of more, and West Ham fans do have this thing about they want to at least be entertained, even if they're getting relegated. So
hilarious.
You know, give them what they want. Let's see how it goes. You know, it could be one of the best decisions they've ever made. It could be one of the worst, because the Premier League's ruthless. Like, you know, all it takes is that one wrong call on a manager or on a transfer window where you let the wrong players go, you buy the wrong players, and all of a sudden, you know, this league doesn't really give you that much room for error because it's so competitive now. That you could find yourself in a relegation battle pretty easily. You know, look at the likes of Everton. You know, for years they were sort of comfortable, mid-table, upper mid-table, flirting with Europe some years, and then some wrong calls and some issues. They fight relegation for a couple of seasons in a row.
I mean, I look at, I feel like a reason why West Ham, my bad, is pragmatic because their defense ain't that good. Because I look at how attacking the team that he set out: Paqueta, Kudus, Bowen, Antonio, and midfield is Souček and Alvarez. So there's some goals in Souček too. and Alvarez and Paqueta. So it's like, but it's like a Bogner, Agbana, and Zuma. I think Zuma's old, So I think he tries
He's not
to
crazy old.
not crazy old. Let's see.
He's maybe 30. I don't think he's over 30.
Let me see. 29. He's not that old.
Yeah.
But what if? What if he just stinks? what if he has no excuse? Oh shit! Bogna is 35, so he old as shit. Let me see how old Emerson is. Emerson's 29, so he ain't that. He still got some Sufal. See working with. Why is this thing not clicking? Sufal's 31. But maybe he feels his defense isn't that good. And another coach coming in, seeing all that attacking, and it's like, let's go attack. And then they get ran through like United. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's see. Let's see if he comes back, and if he doesn't, hats off to him. He proved he could survive in the modern era of the Premier League for sure. I just one more thing to do with the table. I just want to see. So it's between Luton and Forest. Forest won this week, right?
Yeah, they won 3-1. Good win against Sheffield United.
Yeah, Sheffield scored first. And I saw it, I was like, they ain't gonna win this. This is so Forest did their thing. But who has the toughest route between Luton and Forest? What do you see?
So they both got 2 games left, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Forest next week play Chelsea.
Ooh.
So they could easily drop points there. Luton are away to West Ham. So, West Ham been leaking goals. So, it's not conceivable that, it's not unconceivable, sorry, that Luton could get a win next week and Forest could lose. Who knows? But then on the final day, I mean, it might be over by then, but on the final day, Forest are away to Burnley, who are pretty much down now.
Okay. All right.
And almost certainly will be by the final day. And Luton are at home to Fulham, and Fulham have kind of checked out for the season, it feels like.
This is up for grabs. This number 17 spot. It could switch on the last day. That's going to be huge.
Yeah, I still think Forest will take it.
Right.
And then we'll see if they get deducted any more points.
Damn.
Because the league is still.
If will they get deducted? Like when is that decision supposed to happen at the end of the season?
I don't know. Who knows? The Premier League seems to make that stuff up as they go along. The points deductions, and they seem to sort of revisit things. So it's like, just gather the evidence, make a call, but like stop dragging it out, and stop doing like, oh, here's a deduction here, and then we might come back and do some more, and just because it's a horrible way for football to be decided in that fashion, but here we are, I guess. But yeah, I'd like to see Luton stay up, underdog story, but Forest have been playing well recently. Hudson-Odoi's been finding his form, and Gibbs White's been playing well. Yeah, I think they, on the pitch they deserve it, but we'll see how these last few games go. They're in the better position for sure, though.
They both have United players on them, so it's tough. It's like one has 2, one has 1. So which one do I want to stay up the most, so that a United player can stay, ex academy players could stay in. So we'll see. We'll see. So what that championship do, fam?
Oof. we had the final day. The final day of the season was on Saturday. So there was lots happening. We played Leeds away, and Leeds could still go up on that day. We were done because of our poor form. We'd lost like 3 games in a row before this game, so we were done regardless. We were finishing 4th, whatever happened.
Right.
Whereas Leeds still had a chance to go up, but they needed Ipswich to not. They needed Ipswich to lose, and Leeds needed to win. Ipswich won in the end, so that took it out of Leeds' hand. But we went and beat Leeds away, which
Oh shit.
for us is a big confidence boost going into the playoffs because like I say, we've been losing games. The fans have been getting a little bit tetchy. But then to go to Leeds away on a day when Leeds needed something and to beat them 2-1 was a big result for us because, like I say, it gives us a little bit of confidence going into the playoffs. It means we beat Leeds twice this season as well. So I guarantee you what will happen now is we'll end up playing Leeds in the playoff final and losing to them. That's the way that goes.
I knew you was going to be pessimistic. I knew it was coming.
Well, no, that's me being optimistic that we'll even make the playoff final. Because we got to play we got to play 2 games. We got to play 2 games against West Brom now.
So that's set.
Yeah. The 2 playoff semi-finals are Leeds versus Norwich and Southampton versus West Brom. And West Brom, we beat them twice this season as well.
Oh,
so
shit.
This is can we make it 3? I don't know. Because we got to play them twice. So yeah, that's going to be nervous times in these games, trying to make sure we get the job done. Because although if we're going to lose, I would rather lose in the semi-final than the final. Because if you get all the way to Wembley and it comes down to that one game and you lose that game, that is heartbreaking compared to going out in this. If you go out in the semi-finals, it would just be like, oh, okay, whatever. But then to lose the big one at Wembley, that's crushing.
But what about to win the big one at Wembley? Elation,
it would be the best way to go up, but it's the worst way not to go up. So, I mean, we'll see over the coming next couple of weeks what way this goes. But yeah, I mean, credit to Ipswich though. Come straight up from League One with a fairly cheaply assembled squad. They got some clever loan moves in as well, just to bolster their team, and to go League One straight up into the Premier League is, through the Championship in one season is a big achievement. McKenna's done a great job. They scored the most amount of goals, I think, in the league, 92.
Damn.
As well. Defense was fairly solid. Yeah, just a good job from them, to be honest. It's a big achievement. It'd be interesting to see how they get on in the Premier League next year.
What's their style of play?
Like they're attacking, but they're also like a little bit pragmatic. They're not sort of a fully high possession team like Leicester have been with Maresca or we have with Russell Martin. But they're not like, they're not Route One, but they can be. They're a very versatile team, but very organised as well. And they've got like good players who can make a difference at Championship level. It'll be interesting to see if any of them can at Premier League level, because a lot of their players are untested at that level. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And they'll lose all their loan players though. They had some really good loan players. They had a guy Amari Hutchinson from Chelsea who did well for them. Kiefer Moore came in from Bournemouth, big centre forward. A guy called Sarmiento from Brighton came in, did well. So yeah, we'll see. But down the bottom end of the table was where some interesting things took place.
Yeah. This is where the real carving of the turkey is at.
I mean, tonight it's the on Netflix they got the roast of Tom Brady. His Birmingham team been getting roasted all season. Well, not all season. They were doing well at the start of the season when they had John Eustace as manager. They
Uh-huh.
fired him. They fired John Eustace when they were sixth in the league, in the
Uh-huh.
playoff places. Sixth in the league. They fired the manager because he wasn't a big enough name for the American owners that came in with Tom Brady as like their figurehead. Um, and then yesterday they got relegated.
Damn.
Um, they brought in Wayne Rooney. That Wayne Rooney experiment failed. They had to sack him because they were down near the bottom. And then the guy they brought in had to take some illness like leave. So that was another
First.
spanner in the works. Yeah, just a bad season.
Mhm.
But worst of all, the guy they fired, John Eustace,
Uh-huh.
he ended up taking a job a few months later. He ended up going in at Blackburn, who were also fighting relegation, and he kept them up.
Oh,
Um,
damn.
just as like a final middle finger up to Birmingham. The team that did him dirty. So yeah, Tom Brady, uh, his boys will be down in League One next season. That's a pretty big drop for Birmingham. I mean, they'll be favourites to come back up. They'll have decent funds down there, but yeah, Birmingham, Huddersfield, and Rotherham all went down. It was yeah, bad day for them.
I say serve Birmingham right. Like, I didn't want them to fire their coach to hire a Man United legend, even though he's a Man United legend. I was like, hey
Yeah.
man, this guy's doing a good job. Let him do a good job. What's this like trying to
Mm.
get at you? Rooney is not playing for you. He's your coach. So you don't need name recognition on the bench if the coach you already got is doing a good job. So to make that mistake and fuck everything up, they're really paying for it now. They went down a league. That's a crazy dumb move. That's even Todd Bowley is laughing at that move. He's like, who would make that type of mistake? You know? So Birmingham got what they got, and just the sweet justice of their guy who was fired saving the team that stepped out of the way of the trap door so that Birmingham could fall through it, and they close the door and stand on it, and they're safe. Good for you,
Mm-hmm.
John. What's up with the fantasy league?
Joachim Henriksen still top. Like I said, I think he'll take it now. The amount of points he's ahead because Ahmad Zekri.
What's his lead?
He is up by 38 points. It's not insurmountable,
Right.
but over two fixtures, it would need a big swing. But I've outscored Martin this week, which is good. And I've still got an extra player to play. I've still got Garnacho to play against Palace. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But Martin's got 80 points this week. I'm on 85.
Damn.
And I
scored high.
I had Nicholas Jackson on the bench, but I had Haaland, I had Isak, I had Cole Palmer, I had Son, I had Gordon, got an assist in there. Yeah, all my defenders did well as well. Gvardiol clean sheet, Saliba clean sheet, Branthwaite got me an assist. I had the Brentford keeper got a clean sheet. So yeah, I'm finishing the season strong, even though I've been poor to average for most of it. I'm finishing strong.
At least you're doing that. That's good. So what place is Martin, and what place are you, and what place is Neil?
Oh, Martin is 7th, and I'm still 17th. But I'm within touching distance of like at least a couple of people above me. So I can catch a couple of people. I can nab a couple of places if things go well. Neil's second bottom. He's right down there. I don't know how much attention he's paying to his team though right now. So just looking, he's got a bunch of players in there who I'm not sure why they're in there. So
yeah, he probably hasn't been like paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Well, shit. That's pretty much it. Like, you did ask me if we were going to do the podcast today because the Netflix is a joke festival is in town. I did one show Friday after work, which was they have an outside joke section, so it's in the parking lot of the Palladium, and they set up a stage.
Yeah.
And but it's cool though. The audiences I've been listening to the show, so I had a good set. Some people caught
Nice.
a bad one because you have to like be very confident when you're going to perform
Mm.
outside, even though the crowd is it can get in your head. So, but I had a good fun set out there. Saw some other comics do good out there, and then it's almost like when you watch the. See, I don't know if you've ever been here when they do those fan zones for like the NBC USA soccer group, or like when they go to like Nashville instead of staying in the studio,
Yeah.
and they do the show and broadcast the games that for the weekend in front of like fans
Yeah.
of those teams. So they have like that type of a fan zone set up around the stage and beyond the stage. Like they are the comedy people can sit. Then there's food, and then there's mechanical bulls and some mini golf. There's bars in the back and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, and then stage is there. So it's kind of like you're you're performing in the middle of potential chaos. But there's this group of people who will sit down and they came to see comedy outside, and then if you get
Nice.
those people, you're good. But also that's where they kind of have the after parties for the weekend. So I might, but they have shows on the outside stage continuously. So probably after this, I'm gonna go out there and check that out. Last night I was on Dave Helm's show at the store, and then I got my show for Netflix is a Joke on May 12th at Hotel Cafe. So if y'all want to come out, come check that out. Should be fun.
Nice.
Yeah. You got anything you want to plug?
Not at the moment, no, just the socials, Lee Hudson Comedy, posting shows up there. I've got a bunch of like solo shows where I'm running my hour. Couple in the UK, one in Barcelona in June.
Oh shit, dope.
But yeah, and the rest are around the UK. So I've got like one in Bristol, which is coming up this week. And then got a couple down in Brighton. There's like a festival down in Brighton Fringe,
Oh yeah.
which is running all throughout May. I've got a couple of shows down there for that. So yeah, I'm getting about.
Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll be running my hour at the Hotel Cafe show that I just mentioned. So come out, check that out. And yeah, thanks Lee for joining. Good info. That was some fun shit about the championship. Not the scary part for you. Listen, this is what I advise: go to the finals at least, because in order for well, not that's not the only way to qualify for the say you don't get through. You might need to go through the playoffs next season, and you want that experience on your team, even though you could
Yeah.
just straight qualify next season. So who knows? Might as well get as much experience in for your team as possible.
Yeah. Yeah,
Go
that's
to the
fair.
finals and see what's up. You know?
I just remembered as well, we got Champions League second legs this week.
Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, so Bayern, what happened? So Bayern
2-2.
2-2 with Real Madrid,
Mm.
and that was at Bayern.
Yeah.
And Real Madrid just won the league, but I feel like they'll just pull it off up there, unless
Yeah.
this is some Heinz Flick type shit where you're leaving Bayern at the end of the season, everybody knows it, and you just win the Champions League, and maybe that's what's going to happen with Tuchel. But yeah, I'll be shocked if Bayern like pulls this tie
Yeah.
off. Yeah,
It would be crazy to have a Bayern versus Dortmund Champions League final when both of them have been blown away in the league by Leverkusen.
right.
Like, it'd be mad if the two other German teams make the final. But I feel like PSG will turn it around at home against Dortmund, and Real Madrid should take it at home against Bayern. So we should be looking at, in my opinion, at a PSG Real Madrid final. But who knows? Those teams are there because they deserve to be, so they can beat them as well.
And listen, I love Jadon Sancho, and I know he had an amazing game midweek against a quality team, PSG. But
Yeah.
He don't play like that all the time. Since he's been at Dortmund, I've watched their games, and that's not how he plays all the time for Dortmund. Even though Dortmund's been doing good since he got there, they've improved their form. So he would have games like that occasionally for us at United. I'm just happy it was on a world stage because more people are Champions League, and if some team wants to buy him from us, we can get more money for him. Yeah, he plays like that all the time. Ten Hag messed up. Fine, pay us. But this weekend or this midweek, I'm rooting for Real Madrid, and because hey, I want Jadon Sancho to have another amazing game. Why not? Because the more amazing game he has, the more money we could get for him. You know what I mean? Because we need to offload some salaries and some players. So come on, Jadon. I'm rooting for you. Let's do it, baby. But everybody, be good. We thank you. Are you rooting for Dortmund because you just like the upsetness of this?
No, I want a PSG Real Madrid final. I want to see Mbappe tasked with taking down his future employers.
Is he on it? Would he go there for free?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's under contract.
So then PSG can't even raise the price. Like he just beat you in the Champions League. We're raising the price. It's just it just is what it is. Free transfer. All right. Well, thank you all for joining. We love you. Be good. Enjoy football. Take care of each other. And we will talk to you next week.